Yo, what is going on, everyone? It is Memory here. First off, before we get into this video, which we have some pretty cool, some pretty awesome things to talk about, I will say, I do want to apologize for the lack of uploads in, I think it's almost been like 2 weeks or something like that, which I did talk about it a little bit in the community tab. A big part of it has been Elden Ring. Like, it's been taking up a lot of my time. I've been having a blast with Elden Ring. I beat the game already on my first character. I've started my second playthrough on a new character. I think I have well over 100 hours now, so I've been having a great time with that. So I can't really complain, honestly, and a lot of you are probably actually in the same position as I am, and it's just a great game. It's one of my favorite games of all time, honestly, after finishing it and doing a lot. I don't even think I've done everything, but I've done a lot in the game, and like I said, I'm already on my second playthrough, so there's that. That's definitely a factor. But another part of it, which I've tried to sit down and record videos for Ousama Ranking, AOT, Dress Up Darling. I started with Ousama Ranking because that's like the earliest thing in the week. And just from my intros, like, I don't know, it's just the vibe or the feeling, the energy isn't really there for me in terms of making reaction content, I guess. And I mean, this has happened before. This isn't like the first time. And usually that's a sign that I need a break. Or it could be that, or it could be just I'm enjoying other things a lot more, or a lot of other things kind of have my attention, I guess you'd say. Mostly Elden Ring, but there are other things as well that I'm kind of doing I'm in my own time. So yeah, it could be a video for in of itself, like just a totally separate video. I don't know if I'm gonna make that video, but that's kind of what is going on. So I did want to let you guys know kind of where my head is at, essentially. But what we're mainly here to talk about is that ranking of King's greatness. And I know this isn't a reaction, but I still wanted to kind of get my thoughts out, or just some of my favorite things from these two episodes. And it's really probably going to be episode 21 because my goodness, that was something, right? Most of you have already probably watched the episode. If you have, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about episodes 20 and 21 because those are the episodes. I was really behind one episode if you want to be technical about it. But we're mostly going to be talking about episode 21 probably. But there were some things I did like with episode 20 and some particular moments that really stand out to me. And I would start off by saying that I was not expecting us to, in episode 20, I was not expecting us to start off, or at least spend that much time back in the, I guess you would call it the land or the space between life and death, or Miranjo's memories, however they put it, right? Like how Despa and BOJJI are in the middle of it all, and you kind of have the two sides where there's death and there's life, or whatever you'd want to say, right? I was not expecting us to spend that much time in there, but what we had in that scene I actually really did like, especially with Sheena and BOJJI hearing and seeing Sheena and what she was kind of saying about her son, and kind of singing his praises, and just the kind of boy that he is. I did really like that, but I was not expecting it, because where we left off in episode 19, at least if I'm remembering correctly, it was like the big four squaring up against Oaken, which we did come back to that, and it was just like maybe 30 seconds. I don't know. Oaken just mopped the floor with them. So I was like, oh, okay. With how they were building it up, which I mean, what we had in episode 19, Arafumi Amai directing that episode, like that was some of the best action in the series. And then episode 21 comes along. But yeah, that was a very strong episode. But with how they were building it up, I thought there was going to be more, definitely. And there really wasn't, because Oaken kind of mopped the floor with them. Oaken was mopping the floor with everyone until Bosse comes in. And this was just insane, because I mean, we know Bosse is crazy, but Bosse literally, and Oaken is immortal. We know this. It was like the whole immortality versus invincibility sort of thing. This man, Bosse, first off, he healed everyone, which that was actually a really awesome scene, because, you know, BOJJI gets up and he's like 1-2 stepping, and Kage's like, BOJJI, 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 and they're all like, the trio is like swinging in a circle, Despa in there as well. That was actually really awesome. I found that actually really enjoyable. But Bosse comes in, heals everyone. I think he actually said it, he used like a lot of his strength, like half of his strength or something like that, to do that, which everyone was messed up, because Oaken was just one-man wrecking crew. But Bosse comes in and makes really just slight work of him. I mean, he turned him into a ball. He literally turned him into a ball and like put him in the giant ass boulder. So that was something. So I did really like what we had with that. And then of course it was building up for what we saw in episode 21. Also, I think in episode 20, if I remember correctly, we saw they actually went more into the scene where Miranjo made like the deal with the devil. And they also brought up that this was the second time that there was a broken promise, and they did go more into that as well, which I still think in general there's going to be more that they're going to go into with that. It does look bad, obviously, from what we saw at the end of episode 21, but we've been talking about this a while with this series. The main figure, the main reason this all is happening is probably because of this devil-like character or whatever. And Miranjo made a deal with the devil, which I'm glad they actually went more into that scene, because we did see part of that before, like when Sheena died and what happened with Miranjo, and she wanted to keep living. So she went to whatever means necessary, and that ended up being making a deal with this devil or whatever. But this wasn't the first time that there was a promise broken. That was actually something that sort of surprised me, because I thought maybe that was like the first time something like that had happened. But it seems like previous events kind of spiraled into a lot of this happening, or at least what's went on with Miranjo. So yeah, that was really episode 20, and I guess some of the things that really stood out to me. But episode 21 is what I said I'll probably be spending the most time talking about. I saw the staff list before going into this episode, and I was like, okay, I get excited for the Arifumi Amai episodes, you know, when he's like the main director behind them, and those were great. Don't get me wrong. I think it was like episode 9 and then episode 19. It may have been episode 8, but I think it was episode 9. But this one was on a completely another level in terms of the animation, in terms of just visually how they represented the fight between BOJJI and Boss, because it's Daida's body, but the presence they showed, and I feel like they nailed that perfectly. It was like Boss's presence, especially matched up against BOJJI, man. It was incredible. And just a lot of the camera movements, and they've done it a lot with Ranking of Kings, but I feel like a lot of, like, all of the positive, all of the best things that we've saw in previous episodes kind of were all in this episode in one, I guess. At least that's how I feel about it. So yeah, BOJJI was out here though. I know Boss used like half of his strength, they said, or whatever. So if Boss was full strength, who knows? But I mean, this was still Boss that BOJJI was going up against. And a little thing that I don't know if you guys noticed, but that I picked up on, at least with Domus, when Domus was stepping up and he was going to go take on Boss, because BOJJI stepped to like the front of all of them, because the big four at first were like, we're gonna protect you, BOJJI, we're here for you, BOJJI. And then BOJJI steps in front of them, they're all like, oh my gosh, like look how he is now. And that's like, I mean, I want to talk about so many different things, but it really all has kind of built up or culminated for this exact moment right here. But back to what I was talking about, I know I'm all over the place, but when Domus stepped in front of BOJJI and he was going to attack Boss, I love how they showed that. And even Despa said, like, you guys are not going to be able to do anything. But the way they visually represented that, when Domus was actually going towards Boss, if you guys noticed, there was a huge distance. Like, they were actually kind of close, but they made the distance feel like it was so long. And I think that represented just how far apart in terms of strength, you know, someone like Domus and Boss is. Like I was saying, BOJJI was just on something else. I mean, he was on one in this episode going up against Boss. I mean, the way they showcased is actually how fast he was moving, and then also like the impact of his attacks. It was kind of like how Boss, you know, how Boss made quick work of Oken. It was BOJJI made pretty quick work of Boss. So when you really think about it, I did bring up the strength thing before, but I mean, my goodness, BOJJI made it look easy. And we know BOJJI has put in the time. He's had the potential there, but he's put in the time, he's put in the work, and he's had obviously these people behind him. So there are a lot of factors that go into it, but I love it. And then the line from Despa, that truly is the swordsmanship of a king, that sent chills, because like I mentioned before, all of this, I feel like a lot of things in this series have kind of culminated, have built up to a moment like this right here, where everyone is here and BOJJI did his thing, man, and I loved it. This was the standout episode of the series. I know we still have 2 more episodes to go, so maybe an episode could trump this one. I'm not really sure, but as of right now, this is the standout episode, probably the magnum opus episode or whatever of this series, in my opinion. Now, it did leave off on kind of a grim note, to say the least, like with the devil character and all of that, which I was saying, I think, a while ago, that I could see that character being sort of like the end game sort of villain or boss, or however you want to put it, whatever you want to say. And it seems like that is going to be the case. We're gonna have to deal with that, and I still think there's going to be more with that in Miranjo and like that backstory. They have showcased sort of a bit of it, but yeah, we still have 2 more episodes to go with Ranking of Kings. I'm curious to see how this all is going to leave off. But episode 21, absolutely masterful. It was a brilliant episode, really from start to finish. I'm curious actually, how do you guys feel about the Boss and Miranjo stuff? Because obviously what happened to Miranjo in her past is horrific. It's terrible. I mean, it's just terrible human beings. I've talked about this time and time again with my episode reactions and when they actually dove into Miranjo's backstory. But I don't know. I don't know if it's just how it comes across, or maybe it's just me. I'm not really sure. But haven't really been able, even now after this stuff, I've never really been able to get fully into the whole Miranjo and Boss relationship or understand it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I don't really fully understand it. But I don't know. Emotionally, I can't. I'm not saying it's bad, but I can't get as emotionally attached maybe as the show wants me to the whole Miranjo and Boss thing. I want to know your guys' thoughts on that as well. I almost forgot to mention that, and that's sort of a big thing, obviously. That about does it for this video, everyone. Let me know what you all thought of these 2 episodes that I talked about in this video. Most of you guys are probably going to be talking about episode 21, and understandably so. But if there's things that I didn't talk about that maybe you guys noticed or wanted to bring up, definitely drop your comments down below. I will be looking at them. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.